desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. Hey. It's warm down here. It's hard to breathe. It's burning my eyes, Lord. So hard to see. I'm quite parched now. I need a savior. Come quench my thirst, Lord. Because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. Water for the thirsty, yeah. I drink,
it's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye gon' see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst. What the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, you liberate them out of cuffs. The faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give her honor the first thing that I do when I'm waking up. It's everlasting life to all who desire to drink
you're
it up.
like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Been a hard weekend, it left me high and dry. I've been going through the ringer, I need you in my life. Times seem crazy, I'm stranded in the desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. Hey. It's warm down here. It's hard to breathe. It's burning my eyes, Lord. So hard to see. I'm quite parched now. I need a savior. Come quench my thirst, Lord. Because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. Water for the thirsty, yeah. I drink,
it's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek him with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye gon' see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst, but the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, you liberate them out of cuffs. Their faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give her honor the first thing that I do when I'm waking up. It's everlasting life to all who decide to drink
You're
it
like
up.
water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Been a hard weekend, it left me high and dry. I've been going through the ringer, I need you in my life. Time seems crazy, I'm stranded in the desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink.
Water for the Thirsty is a system designed to help people overcome some of the barriers that they experience when they try to spend time in the Word and spend time with God. We developed a reading plan to help overcome those barriers, and then we created this forum to help overcome the barrier of accountability and understanding and those kinds of things. So we're reading through the week through our Bible reading plan, which you can download currently from our app at the Google Play Store. Search Water for the Thirsty. If it doesn't come up, add JT Works to it and it should come right to the top. But we have an app for our reading plan in the Google Play Store. You can also download it from the internet at waterforthethirsty.com. Join our reading plans. We follow the reading plan and then we come to talk about what we read, not just to air our opinions, but to try and get application in such a way that we can make sense of this thing, get to know Jesus better, and live more faithfully. That being said, tonight with us we have Shonice.
Hi.
Who's here to try and keep us from going too far left. We have Kenrick to help us go left. We have Hugh who's visiting, but is one of us. He's here to bring an alternative perspective, and Sharika is here to keep us honest.
Right.
She's here to keep us honest. So we have varying perspectives, diverse ways of seeing these things, and we've been reading the book of Luke, the book of Genesis, and the book of Proverbs. So our conversation is going to be coming from there based on the things that we saw, based on the things that impacted us, based on the questions we had, those kinds of things. We're asking, as you are joining us on the stream, to also join the conversation and not just listen to us. If you're at live.waterforthethirsty.com, there's a chat room. You can log in there. And if you are watching on Facebook Live, which we're streaming for our second time, you can join the conversation there. Sharika's watching the Facebook Live feed, and I'll be watching the live.waterforthethirsty.com feed. Any other preliminaries? No. Kenrick, you were talking something about lamb.
No, I'm just saying I had lamb like 3 times this week. It was really good.
That's great, man.
It's
the
I
Lord's
was just commenting on.
It is the Lord's
meat.
meat.
Socks.
Oh, okay.
They had lambs.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna work that out.
Anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. You'll see.
Thank you.
Sharika,
You
talk
always
to me.
start with me.
Yeah, you always have
Because you always have stuff that's gonna last for like an hour.
So let's get rid of the heavy stuff
I didn't
first.
really. I didn't go hard this time. Let me see. Hold on.
Henry, how's the Bible been treating you? How's the
It's
move
good.
from
So-
digital
so-
to paper?
I didn't do the paper a lot this reading.
You've been using the app?
I went to the. I've been using my phone a lot more
You've been using the app?
because my Bible's like it doesn't stay next to my bed sometimes,
But the phone is.
but the phone always is.
So how have you been using the app?
I haven't used the app.
You have an Android phone, you haven't downloaded the app?
Come on, man.
Henrik, you hurt my feelings, man. I'm messing with you.
I'll do the app tonight.
That's alright.
You do it right now.
So we got.
Oh, so all right. So I can start off with my joints in Luke chapter 18, right? So in the beginning, I got some other ones, but I'll start with that one.
Luke 18.
Yeah. The persistent widow. So what got me, or the question I have with this, of course she's there and she's always asking for justice against her adversary. Like that's her whole thing, and she's just asking, and then the ruler kind of gets angry. It's like, forget it, I'll just give it to you because you're just so persistent. And Jesus steps in and he's like, will not God give justice to his elect who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long over them? I tell you, he will give justice to them speedily. Nevertheless, the Son of Man comes. Will he find faith on earth? Where's the line between consistently asking for something versus, irregardless of whether or not you think it's what you should have, because it doesn't, she believes this is what she deserves, versus, your will be done, Lord. I'm just going, if I'm supposed to be attacked or bothered or be in this, I'm just going to chill out with it. That was my
That's actually a good question.
Where's the line?
Yeah, where's that line? Luke 18.
18.
I think that the reason why that question is going to take forever is because there's no answer. I don't think there's really an answer for that one. I think
That's
that
a good answer, Shanice.
I think that is based on the individual.
Her answer
Wait,
that
wait,
there's
I'm- wait,
no
wait,
answer
wait,
is a
wait.
good answer?
It is a good answer.
I'm saying
What?
it's based on the individual. Like this particular
So that's her
woman, this particular woman had a particular issue. She came, he was just like, whatever, I don't care. That's what the guy was like, I don't care. And then he's like, not only do I care what God thinks, I don't care what anybody else thinks here either. Or her. But she annoyed him. And God is like, you don't annoy me, but I love you. Can you imagine if someone loves you and they want to see you happy? He wanted to see her happy, so he didn't have to hear her voice anymore.
No, I can't imagine.
So I think it's on an individual basis, and we could take
That's
forever.
a good answer.
We could
It's-
take forever.
It's based upon an individual.
Yeah, it's based on the individual.
Relationship.
Because I can't tell you to stop asking for something, and God may want to prolong His yes for you. You know what I mean?
So-
I have no
so-
idea. We don't have an idea.
Good.
No.
But so I agree to a certain extent with what you're saying, and we're gonna start off early. Like we got a new president. Like let's just start off getting along right now. So I agree with you to a certain extent. However, there has to be something because not all of my prayers I should be praying like all the time because
That was where I was
some
going
of my prayers, whether I acknowledge them or not, aren't necessarily the best thing for me.
Right.
Even though I think that they might be. Even though I might think that God might want me to have it. It's probably not the best thing for me. And if I continue asking and asking and asking, am I taking myself away from something else that
So-
God has for me?
One of the reasons why this happened. This is a story. This is based on a true story. So I have to switch this a little bit so that the person isn't revealed.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend. It's not me.
Classic.
Change your voice.
Put that there. Who's been praying to God for something physical, very long. Like I
Physical sickness, illness.
I want a bigger butt.
Wow.
Wow, that's a serious prayer.
And for
I think we need
years.
a name.
No.
She looking for finance or something?
No, this is a physical thing. I want a bigger butt.
That's a
She's
Praying
praying for this?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
Right? And so, and it's like basically God's not answering my prayer. And
Gave it to you already.
came to me with, does God ever answer like those physical type of prayers? And I was like, well, it sounds real vain. I mean, real shallow, real, what are you going to do with a bigger one type of thing, you know? But the person was really struggling with it because it was the basis by which they started their prayer life. And now it's like, yo, God is whack. And I was trying to explain to them that this is about a relationship and blah, blah, blah. But they were real hung up on their
I
physical
don't even
needs.
know where to go with that one.
And this is a serious conversation.
No, it is.
That's you know what that sounds to them when I was like 9.
See, that's why I didn't want to go there.
When I was like 9,
That's not
that was
fair.
a serious prayer for me.
This person
Yes,
is in
but you
their
can't-
late 20s.
Yeah, that's a different
that's
prayer,
what I'm saying.
Right.
But I'm saying, look, there are times in your life when that's a sincere prayer. If you look at, that's where I stand. I stand at my same thing. It's based on who you are, your relationship with God. It's individual. It's individual basis because we can say that sounds vain. That sounds this. That sounds that. But you know, to some people, body image is a huge thing. It's part of your whole package, and we can shake our heads like, no, it's vain, not. But there, that wasn't a pun.
So,
I don't. My thing is, there's certain things that we can discuss, but we're not going to be able to answer like definitively.
No, I was just
No,
giving
I
you a
agree.
background. I'm just giving you like a situation.
It's the faith part of it though that I'm struggling to get the connection with, because is this person gonna be discouraged?
Well, they've been
in-
praying this for years,
Yeah,
so
but
they
that's-
are discouraged.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, knowing we know that there are clear distinctions in how the response that we'll get, right? I think the thing is, are we willing to acknowledge the response, right? So, kind of going back to what you're saying is that, you know, is it only persistence that is the criteria? If I really want it and I keep praying for it,
Yeah, but
right?
you don't pay for that Brazilian lift, then you might not.
But what I'm saying is that if she, with this circumstance, right, is persistence enough, or is it that the basis of what? Because again, is it this something that we can say that's in His will?
and I think that's where it is. So the persistence is one thing, right? But I guess going with the biblical example of Christ is like I can want this, I can pray for this, but I have to be at the point where not my will but your will. So even if my butt doesn't grow,
then I should be okay with it.
I have to be okay with it.
Right.
Or you can pay for one. You know, I mean, there's different.
No one's saying that you can't.
No, what I'm
because there are many ways to answer that. So there's many ways to answer that.
My thing is
like it could be just a windfall of money where I can go and get a butt implant.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, this seems like
you could go in the gym and do some squats.
You can go. I mean, but certain things don't come just by.
So, but it all goes back to the fact of, I think many times what this is saying is that in this one parable we're seeing that the emphasis was on persistence. Right? But we keep coming back to the fact that it's persistence, but if it's not in his will, no matter how persistent you are, there's nothing that's really gonna happen.
I think there's another piece that's missing.
It's not just about persistence. It's also about the relationship. It's a relationship because God is comparing how this one ruler has no relationship with this woman, and how he still granted her much. But in order to grant justice for someone, there actually has to be follow-up. You get it? Not just give her what she wants. It has to be follow-up in order for her not to come back and say, you told him. I mean, people can sue someone, but if you don't force the other person to pay or put penalty on them, they're not going to pay the money. And so for someone who could care less about you, and they still make sure that you have what you want. This is want. You know, want and justly feel like you want. Then how much more, if you feel that way and think that way, will God work on your behalf? And this does say justice, though. It doesn't say just anything. It says justice.
Oh yeah, that was the point I was going to make.
Yeah, it says justice. It doesn't say that house. It says justice.
Which goes back to his will.
No. It's not his will. It's not his will. It's justice. It's you have been wronged.
Yes.
You have been wronged, and so this is not every single situation. Yes. This is talking about justice. Yeah. You know, and with justice is this person hurt me, and I'm not supposed to go. Remember, there's some places in the Bible where if you do something to somebody, you have permission to go take them out, right? But this situation, I guess, you had to seek justice from the authority to make sure that the person got what they deserved, or that you sued them and they gave you back what you needed. And so justice is huge because it's saying someone did something wrong to me and I want to do something to them. However,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
However, I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to come to you. You are supposed to give me justice. If you choose not to give me justice, then I am in this state of a loss. Okay, and so this parable, it's not about everything. You know, it's not about.
It's contextual.
Yeah, it has a context, and that's why I still stand with the you never know, because it's based on the context. You know, we have a king who he was just like, no, I don't want to die, and God let him live even longer, and he should not have lived because he wreaked havoc, and his offspring after that time wreaked havoc. And so when we pray, this is not saying that every single person's prayer for every single subject God is going to grant it.
I don't that wasn't the basis of my argument, but I think it's also a tricky situation to say that it was justice, because justice is subjective. If somebody hurt me, I can say I was hurt. They hurt me, and they deserve justice. And someone.
But isn't justice based on the law?
Yeah,
there's no justice if there's no law. And
exactly.
depends.
Justice.
Is there justice
It's
without the law?
But it's also your interpretation.
It's in
No,
your
I understand that.
That's
But
what I'm
it's
saying.
still
But justice is still a concept. It's not just
without the
complete
law,
general.
there is no justice.
I wasn't trying to drill into law or not. I'm saying it's subjective because
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying.
the base of it all was the idea of prayer and the you have not because you ask not, and the pray without ceasing, and the
persistent portion of it.
the Lord will give you desires of your heart, the persistent portion of it. And I was trying to explain to this person nagging and I don't mean it because, as you said, body image is very important. I don't mean it negatively. Nagging doesn't equate to giving. It just equates to nagging. And I, like, you know, as a child, eventually you realize the extra piece of candy just isn't worth it at the end of the day, versus this person is literally basing their relationship with God off of it. And is not asking God for anything else because he refuses to give this thing. And therefore, I don't even know what I'm doing right now.
And that's okay. You know,
Well, I mean, look.
it's okay because think about it like this. Think about it like this. Have you ever tried? Have you ever tried?
What's okay? What are we saying is okay? For her to base her relationship off of that?
It is.
Okay, all right.
It is because that's her choice.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest power that God has given us is choice.
Understood.
And when we have a relationship with someone, we see it all the time with men and women. A woman will go through all the stuff because the man is fine, but he's a complete jerk. And she's basing her relationship with him and her love for him on the fact of how good he looks. But he treats her poorly. He may beat her. He may cheat on her. And he may give her diseases. And so she might be basing a positive feeling of him on this. The same can happen in a negative. It's not my job. It's my job to read the Bible and to have discussions with people and to show them based on what I feel, what I think, the love of God. But not to judge them based on how they choose to base their relationship. I can say that's not how I do it. I don't agree. But if that's the only thing you want to base it on, just like the woman who wants to base the fact that she's madly in love with this guy solely on his looks, you and I both know that there's not much you can do for things like that. It's okay. You try to help them to get help if they're being abused, or you try to supplement if they're being neglected. And that's our job. Our job is to show love to people so that they can say, you know what, maybe I'll try this relationship your way.
I don't know.
Yes,
I do agree 100% with it's not our responsibility to judge or determine consequence or say that that's where somebody lives or whatever. I just don't know that it's okay to sell somebody. It's okay to be in a posture that is harmful to them and damaging to other people who come in contact with them. To say it's okay is where I was having that is okay.
When you say damaging, what do you mean?
Well, for example, and that probably will lead me into my thing in Proverbs. There was a text in Proverbs, and I'm gonna have to look for it within the last 2 days. It talked about being a false witness and what that means. And I was thinking about it from the standpoint of we have been called to be witnesses of God and God's love. So as I become a Christian, what I do or what I say is a witness, is a testimony of what I know about God, what I understand about Him. Let's go back a little bit to Job. Job's friends were chastised by God because they did not bear accurate witness about God. And had Job paid attention to them, he could have had a wrong idea about what God is. And witnesses are held responsible for the testimony that they bring. And so that's what I mean by damaging. By having this misguided conception of God, you can influence people to trouble. what's the text that Jesus says? Bad things are bound to come on the earth, but woe to the one through whom it comes. You know, so, and that's what I'm saying. We're not judging. We are here to support. We are here but to acknowledge where something isn't the best, I think, is also our responsibility. And that's what I was saying. Does that make sense?
I can agree with that.
Okay. Cool. Okay. How do you feel about the question for your friend? Do you feel like you have already communicated that with your friend? Have additional stuff to communicate to your friend?
The way I left the conversation with my friend, I asked them to write down what they considered their blessings and what they considered their hardships. And then let's discuss those. Because I think what I was missing was an idea of where your mindset is. Mm-hmm. So, as someone who some people may say my physique is nice, it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, to me, it's just like, well, you can go buy a pusher bra, you can go get some butt pay, you can do whatever, you can go to Brazil, you can go get whatever you want done. Like, just stop eating, just do what you want to do. And so I didn't want to come from a judgmental position where something like that may not come hard for me. Like, I'm going to say this size if I work out, if I don't, versus someone who may be struggling. So that's why I was like, maybe you should write down, let me see what you consider right, wrong. But I did say to them, however, and you've given me this example before, was how do you like when somebody only calls you when they need something? How do you like when the only time I hear from you is when you're nagging me to give you something? And that sounds like what you're doing right now with God, and then getting upset every single time because you've turned to the side and it hasn't changed. No, you could just sigh. You got a little bit sigh. And I left that with them, and we haven't touched base again. But that was.
But what if that's their starting point?
It's not.
I mean,
even if it
is a starting point.
Well, I'm not saying even for her. I'm just saying
even if it is a starting point, Kenrick, and I can say it is a fair starting point to engage a relationship. Any relationship that starts there and stays there is going to be a problematic relationship.
I'm not saying stay. I'm just saying but stay is relative though.
So all I would suggest in that
stay is a stay for you might not be a stay for me.
Fair enough. What I'm suggesting is, and I think Sharika is already going that direction. Start seeing your conversations with God as part of a relationship, as a real relationship, and allow that to inform the kind of conversation you have with Him, the kinds of things you talk to Him about. Because even with your parent, if your only conversation with your parent is, I need, you and your parent never, you never grow, you never develop. And if you were that person, what kinds of things would you want from that person to even consider giving them what they're asking for? Not that God needs that from us, but it helped to adjust the perspective away from God is my ATM to this somebody who has feelings, someone who cares about me, someone who wants to be in relationship with me. How can I then make an adjustment in my conversation, prayer, to facilitate developing a relationship? And focus more on that as opposed to what I can get just because I believe he's obliged to give it to me.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. The only part that I do want to adjust from my perspective is that God does want from us.
Yes.
He's like, he don't need it. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Because that's what he asked 100%. For.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he doesn't need.
He asked for. Wants and needs can be. Wants and needs could be. God doesn't need anything. So if we use the word, it's like, no, I need you to do this.
No, he wants us to do it.
He wants us to do it.
Because there's people out there. No, because there are angels out there, and there's rocks, and there's all kinds of stuff that their sole purpose is to worship Him and to acknowledge His great presence. And us feeble, but don't need it.
But I mean, we can say that, or we can say it in the sense of Him saying, like, in order for us to have this kind of relationship, I'm going to need for you to do this. Not just, I want you to do it. Oh, you don't do it. It's okay. It's like, no, I need for you to do this in order for us to have the kind of relationship. You know, it's like if you're in a relationship with someone and you say, I want you to do this thing for me, then, and if they don't do it, it's not a deal breaker. But if you're saying, no, I need you to do this for me, for you to prove that you love me.
It's just two different uses of the word need.
You get it? So it's not like God needs it. It's like, this is, it's not adjustable. So that's when I use the word we need. So
God doesn't need it as God. God needs it in order for
the one-on-one relationship.
The relationship needs it.
Yes, the relationship needs it. Okay, that is a better way to put it. And so, more or less, it's not negotiable. That's a better way to say it, right? It's not negotiable in order for you to have a relationship with God, for you to fulfill this portion of the relationship, for you to make that connection. And I think sometimes we get happy to say things like, oh, God doesn't need anything from me. He just loves me and he'll just give me these things. And so I'll ask, and if he doesn't give it to me, then maybe he just doesn't love me. Or maybe he's not real. You know,
You know what I've also heard a lot, and a lot of people I know.
It's like emotional blackmail.
Kind of.
Like if I did that with Vanessa, that'd be like emotional blackmail.
You would not eat well.
You know, or at all. A lot of people like to lean on
see her.
I'm always gonna sin. I'm always gonna sin. I'm always gonna have these small sins. So he's gonna understand that I'm always gonna fall for this one thing. When it's just like, not chill. He's not. Like, you know, he doesn't have to understand type of thing. And I've run into that with a lot of people I know too. It's just like, we were born in sin. I can't avoid it. No, you can close your leg. Like you can do that. I mean, you can not do that.
Only one has to move.
Only one has to move. You're right.
But only one has to
Focus.
Technically none. But anyway, I'm saying, like, people, we like to slide through with the negotiable.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
I'm not perfect, so you should accept my 93% when I'm not even trying to get to 100. It's just, I know I suffer from this 7%, and you should just take that from me because I'm human.
Yeah. And God says, okay, you want to keep that 7%? I do still love you, but you're not going to the promised land. He said it to some of the best. Mm-hmm. You see this over this mountain? You don't have any of it. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we wonder why. Or we man up like Moses and say, oh, it's not, man. Okay, I got it.
You know, I think right. In a sense, though, especially growing up in church, I think we've been conditioned to think that it's okay to pocket the sin that easily besets you. Like, everybody got it, you know, and we then put the Bible in context of, they were all not perfect. You know, but
they said that so nicely.
It's like
David was the best of them. He was the best of them.
You know, he was a womanizer. You know, all this. So no, wait. What I'm saying is this: there is. I think there's almost a dichotomy, right, between the fact of self-perfection, right, and the acceptance of I would say the misinterpretation, right, of the fact that there has to be sanctification, right? So for most people, it's like
sanctification means what?
So
purification. Is it like a purification process?
Right. So it's like the school of thought that says, like the Pharisees that say, okay, look, I have to put in all the work to comply. Right? To me, it's like I always say, Jared, it's a difference between compliance and obedience, right? The compliance mindset says that I have to do all of this to meet this criteria. The criteria is that I have to then, you know, we hear be like Christ, so I'm like, okay, live it, and then that will gain me access, right? That mindset makes obedience very hard, because then the fact is, if there was no law, you would not comply. You're only complying because of the consequence. So for most of us, that's what happens when you then end up in a situation where the consequences aren't the same, or the circumstances change. You love God when you're broke, but as soon as you get money, you're like, whatever. Right? You see what I'm saying? Because at that point, it's a compliance mindset.
Right.
It's like, I need God to give me money, so I'm going to obey God so I can get money. But now that I get money and my need is met.
But the 90, I guess I'm hung up on the 93 and the 100%.
No, but that's what I'm saying though.
Tell me more.
The reason why Moses had to have 100% is because that dude was a leader. Right? And he did
standards.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, that's why God's God.
Brother.
Everybody doesn't have the same standard. David didn't have the same standard
Mercy.
as every
Heaven is on a sliding scale.
It is.
Yeah, like I don't like.
Depends on your perspective.
Moses.
Speak up, Kevin.
Moses. The only reason Moses didn't get in is because of not only what he did, but it's how he did it and who was watching.
In front of everybody.
Let's define that.
And once again, David did a bunch of mess, but the things that got David in trouble were the things he did in front of everybody else.
But did they not get in?
So
that's what I want to.
No, we're not talking about.
What I'm saying. I'm just.
Yeah, but there's consequences for everything.
I'm going to Shonice's point of not making it to the promised land.
But that's a consequence.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. There's consequence. Sorry.
But there's a difference between consequence and meeting the consequence of his behavior was that he couldn't get there. It wasn't that he didn't earn it. It was if you're thinking about the fact that he didn't earn his way into the promised land, that's
not what we're saying, Hugh. That's not what we're saying, Hugh. We're not saying that. You started another point and you tried to connect the points. They're not connected, because what we're saying is that there is a consequence for you saying you have to bear the consequences for you not trying to achieve that 7%. For you to say, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm never gonna be perfect. God love me the way I am.
But
don't judge me. And so what we're saying is, you can still go to heaven because God's grace is listen. God's grace is sufficient.
That's what Kendrick is saying.
Listen. God's grace is sufficient, but the consequences that you're going to have to endure because of those things, because certain things, if you have a certain amount of wives, you can still make it to heaven. Maybe, depending on where you are.
So, that's my point.
He's saying it's a sliding scale.
The thing is, I'm actually.
It's a sliding scale.
It's not a sliding
scale based on it's sliding scale based upon the fact that God is God.
So hold on.
God can make whatever decision He wants to make. If we are saying that He can harden Pharaoh's heart, then he can make whatever decision.
We didn't get to that part of Genesis yet.
Okay, my fault.
I think it's a fine line. So
no, it is.
Because some people might walk away thinking, I can go thief every Bathsheba I want.
So,
because my sliding scale is different than yours.
No, but it's not. But it's not because what it comes down to is, I can't go and say I can. I don't know. Thief.
There we go.
Every Bathsheba.
No H.
Teeth.
No H.
No H.
Like teeth, like these.
Yes. Teeth.
Okay. Still, I can go and lay with any Bathsheba I want, right? However.
No, he's saying he's not.
Keep going. Let him go.
No, I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is, the relationship I have with God is going to be different than the relationship that you may have with God.
So let me help clean it up for Hugh. What Kendrick is saying is that we cannot use our measuring stick of the manifestations.
Yeah.
To compare one with another.
Yes.
Right, and I think it's in that context where he's talking about the sliding scale. But from God's perspective, what he is looking at the manifestation differently, because he's using a measuring stick altogether.
It's totally different. Him smoking weed And me smoking weed may not get me into heaven,
Correct.
but may not be a bad deal for
Correct.
him.
That's what I'm saying.
That's my.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the same thing.
That's my whole point.
And it's not the manifestation, the actions,
but
it's something else that leads to the
Maybe
manifestation
your
action.
God and it's not your
no,
God.
but hold on.
Maybe your vice.
It still comes down to the fact of compliance versus obedience.
Yes.
We're all of these things that we're talking about is in the frame of mind of compliance. But compliance means that we're actually compliance, and you end up comparing, and that's why you're saying.
But I may not be called
scale.
to obey the same thing you've called to obey.
No.
That's why
He's talking about
no,
with
it's
God.
not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
He's talking about with God.
That's what I'm saying. God may not. So
Yes.
in my relationship with God, He may. It's the same conversation we've had about God's asked other people
Right,
to
and that's
kill,
why obedience is
and
different.
other people not. Like
Right.
if God
We're
has
saying the
asked me
same
to
thing.
do something,
Yeah.
it's all my relationship
But-
with God. That's the sliding
But-
scale.
But for most people, they don't understand obedience in God's definition of obedience.
Correct.
We use the word obedience in our human nature to say is really a perversion of the word, is really compliance. It's not like obedience is the motivation of why you're doing it. So even if, and that's why the fact is, if there was no law and you were obedient, you would still be trying to be like Christ. Right?
Good point.
Compliance is that you're only
Wow,
doing it
that
because
was
you know that there is a consequence.
Correct.
You see
I'm
what I'm
sorry,
saying?
I got lost. Say
That
it
was
again.
deep.
I know, that's why I got lost.
The fact is, right, and this is why
No, say exactly what you said. Like,
You'd have to rephrase it.
no. I just want to hear what I said. I just want to see if I'm correct.
obedience is all about the motive of why you're doing it. So with obedience, even if there was no law, which means there was no consequence, you would still be following. You're still striving to be under the sovereignty of God. Compliance, which we all struggle with here, is the fact that there's
a law.
Yeah.
No, it's not even so much that there's a law. There's a consequence.
There's a that
We
we're
should
not
get to avoid
avoid.
consequence.
We're not
Good
avoid
point.
the consequence.
Shrika.
We have on here Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. Consequences are God's to decide. It has nothing to do with our sin itself, because we see people do the same thing and receive various different consequences. We have Ishmael. I hope I'm doing that right. It's like a parent. They still love you. You can stay in the house even though you broke the rules, but you're still grounded.
Right.
And then I wanted to say one thing of, if you're a new believer, right? Just for the newbies out there.
I know that's hard.
Don't listen to us. Because you'll start making provisions for yourself. You'll start feeling like, you know what, maybe I'm okay with this.
Listen to us.
And no, what I'm saying is, for you to get to the point where you can decipher between God telling you to kill versus God telling you not to kill, that's way into your relationship versus, boom, guess what? Weed's not my thing. That's not my drug, so I can just hold on to this. Just off the start.
It's the orientation.
Just develop the relationship.
Yeah.
Develop the relationship.
That's the only way you can be obedient.
That's the only way. Because there are going to be guys going to call you. It's not wrong for me to say, I don't want to go and your example you used a couple years ago, be a missionary somewhere else. Inherently, there's that. It's a decision. Unless you're specifically called to go to that place and be a missionary. Anybody can look on the surface, and that's the problem. We all look on the surface and kind of judge sins and judge people's reactions and judge people's, So somebody's like, I don't want to be I wouldn't want to go there either. Well, if God's asked you to go or told you to go, and that's where you're supposed to be, whether you don't want to go or not, if that's where you're called, then you're supposed to go there.
And then
that becomes a sin for you not.
Correct.
Sliding scale.
All right.
What was the other one we had? It was a while back. Never mind.
Drop.
Draws.
Yeah,
drop draws.
Yeah,
Drop
draws.
and draws.
No, draw.
And he's saying sliding scale.
Draws. Yes, drop draws.
Sliding
DROSS.
But what,
Yes.
For further clarification, what we're saying is just individual relationship.
Correct.
See, this is why I don't start with mine. I'm going to y'all. Somebody
Because
else.
sometimes when you look at it as a sliding scale,
Sliding
it's
scale
not a sliding
draws.
scale. Because
dropped.
if it is a sliding scale, then people start looking at it like I'm comparing myself to you.
And you see, that's why.
But it's not. It's individual relationship.
Right.
I want a relationship with my husband. I'm not going to try to compare his relationship
That's what we mean.
with. It's
No,
not a
but
sliding
I think
scale.
it's an important point.
It's all the same,
No, it's not.
It's not.
We need to take the comparison
It's
out of
not.
it. Even the word sliding
that's what we're
scale.
saying.
The
That's why I just said that, Q. I just said take out sliding scale.
But what I'm saying is
relationship.
this, and it comes back to the point I was making. Before there was sin, there was still obedience, right?
Yes.
The sin created the consequence, right, of disobedience.
The consequence existed
Is it-
as well.
Right.
They just weren't. They didn't feel it
Because nobody
experienced
Nobody,
it.
exactly,
Done.
right?
There was still consequence.
Yeah, it was still there.
It was still
there.
consequence, but nobody was even aware that, like.
No, they were aware.
They were aware.
They just never felt it.
Fine. But what I'm saying is it's the
They were.
human nature is that we always want to compare, right?
Yes.
And the real struggle with reading the word is the separation from the fact that can I earn it versus grace.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Good point. Kendrick, talk to me. We're transitioning.
Good, because I got another one.
Luke
All right, well
17, my
No,
man.
not right. Go ahead.
No, I don't really have anything spectacular. I never have anything spectacular.
We
But
can talk
it's
about
cool. Like I like so I like Genesis. I didn't really get into Luke and all that stuff this week, and definitely not Psalms.
Proverbs, not Psalms.
Oh, we're not in Proverbs. We're not Psalms.
No.
Oh, I gotta read the app. So I need to. So I like Proverbs. They drop knowledge in that joint.
Now you behind.
So now I'm behind.
About 20 days.
I can make that up. I like reading Proverbs. Plus, it's like old witty stuff. So no, I was just going through. So I've never really been interested in like the whole Abraham, Isaac, Jacob thing. Didn't. But this time it's been fairly interesting.
What you like?
So mainly, I guess around the whole Jacob thing. So I realized that I don't love my wife that much. Because I would not work for that
You
chick.
just said that for
You said that before.
For 7 years?
7 years.
I'm not working for that chick.
You
for
said
7
that
years.
before.
Huh?
You said that.
I've said it before? Well, so I haven't grown.
She's not offended.
No, she's not. Because she wouldn't work for me for 7 years.
You mean 14?
She's just
He's
like
14.
Huh?
14 years.
14.
Well, 14. So you do, so
it
going
wasn't
with that.
14.
Question.
It was
It was 14.
14.
After the first 7,
You do know
and
that,
you found out it was her sister.
Yeah, but you still working.
Would you have worked some more? Would you
He
have
didn't have
left?
nothing else to do.
Her sister wasn't cute?
That was
Yeah, her sister wasn't cute. Would you have left or would you have?
Come again. What you say?
I was asking him if he had worked the 7 years and,
and
then got the sister.
and got the ugly sister.
Would you have walked away from the sister and her together?
So
But he got her
Then
the
what's
same.
the
We got
point?
the
No,
same
wait.
I'm
time.
not. So
He's not working the 7 period.
So number one, the first time I read it, I always, for years, I've always interpreted as he worked 14 years and then he got her, which
No,
he didn't.
no.
Right.
He
No,
got
he
the
worked
7, then he got
7
7
days,
days,
yeah.
and then he not. I mean, then he
Yes.
did it, and then
Then he had to work some
Got
more.
her.
Yeah,
he
well,
got her. But he won because he got everybody else too. Like he got
two
Leah's chick, like her servant, like then he got her, and then he got
He had 4
like,
chicks.
oh my god! Like,
Then you're not cutting
now that's 14 years. So, but it was just interesting to go back and see how it all worked. And then
Have
just
mercy.
so it was that.
So Kendrick's going to keep working because
And
he
then-
realized he gets 4 at the end.
At that point, he was like, "This might
The
not
math
be-
starts.
I'm winning."
No, and I was like, all right, that's like 3. Like,
They're impossible.
Don't put on the vest.
So you would not have left.
He don't know.
when you so when
You
you
didn't have
go,
anywhere else to go. You didn't have
so
anything else to do.
when you
that's
go
the
back and
context.
look
I got
at when you
stuff
go
to
back
do.
and look at Isaac,
do,
Isaac,
'cause you're in
both
America.
Abraham and Isaac were very specific as to who they wanted them to marry, right? And there was actually reasons why. I don't want them to marry this type of people from this type of land. I'd rather you have incest and go marry
Your cousin.
your cousin or your niece or
Or your
whoever it
sister.
is. Or your sister, like whoever. Just sticking,
crazy stuff.
stick to the script. So
Keep it in the family.
so there was something there about just obedience and staying within it. People always talk about how Abraham and Isaac, like they have lying
missing
problems.
I'm missing something. Didn't he like her? He was attracted
He liked
to her.
who?
To Rachel.
He was
Yeah.
attracted
He
to
saw-
Rachel.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, but it wasn't.
That's not what I started for.
he was,
But it wasn't-
he was
I come from-
attracted.
But whether he was attracted to her or not,
He was attracted to
that
her.
was going to happen.
He wanted her.
It was chosen.
It was chosen by who? By God.
No, the father.
No,
What you
his
call it?
daddy told him
Chosen?
go
He just
to
happened to
your
choose the
Uncle
right one.
Laban.
Like she just happened to be
No,
cute.
mommy sent him to Laban to run for
Yes.
his brother. Yes.
But that's true.
But Laban decided which one he was going to get first.
Correct.
He wanted Rachel.
He
He,
wanted-
decided
yeah.
on Leah
He
first.
was going to keep it
I
there.
mean, he pulled it
He
off
did
the
want
jump.
her.
He
and
wanted her, though.
He wanted her, but he went.
That's not who I
keeping it
went
back.
to.
So I'm saying all this. So it's very interesting. But when you go back to it, and can I advance a little bit?
Yes.
I don't want to advance too much.
Go ahead.
But as you go through, you look at how these complicated situations, even thing with Ishmael and Isaac. So you go through and looking at how these complicated situations actually shaped the children of Israel
Yeah.
down the road,
The
and the people
dysfunction
they
continued.
fought, and the people they fought with.
and the people they fought with.
Because their main conflict.
But mainly,
was
I
off
want to
the
stay to the
family
good side
issues.
because God was like, "I'm going to populate the earth." Well, he said that before, but he's like, You're going to have a lot of people, a lot of kids, Abraham, right? Was Rachel gonna do all these kids? Like, he needed like all four of these women to be involved in this process to give the kids.
With a
No.
wife.
No,
Did he
sir.
need them?
No,
He made
sir.
them? No, he made use of them.
No.
He made use of them. They were vessels.
All the other ones. all the other ones.
They were pottery.
were out of this.
He was the potter, they were the clay.
No. That was human error. That was human error. The
Or-
several women was human.
How was that
Or
human,
human
error?
error.
The several women were.
Sounds apologetic.
If God, no, it's not. It's
How is
not
it-
apologetic.
how is it human
If
error?
God says, "I'm going to make nations through you," but you saying, "Wait a minute, it's been 2, 4, 6, 8 years. Okay, maybe not through her." God didn't say not through her.
But we talking about Jacob, not Abraham.
No, he.
Well, I was saying I was going through everything. Now, Abraham didn't. Isaac's the only one that came out that actually did like the many nations from
Promise.
God's perspective. He blessed Ishmael, and Ishmael went out and
Did his own.
you know.
That is true.
Now we got to figure out that. But I'm talking.
Jacob
Yeah,
himself.
primarily Jacob. Like those four women contributed to the children, who the children of Israel ultimately became.
Yes.
But it was human error that added the extras. God could have done it through one woman. He could have.
Yes.
And
I'm
you
not
saying-
saying
you
he
saying-
could not have. It
I'm
that's
saying.
not what
I'm
we're
saying. All I'm saying is when
wasn't going to be Rebecca, though. I mean,
whenever-
Rachel. Because that chick couldn't have kids until like later on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The thing is, if she wasn't so stressed out, maybe she would have had a lot more. You know what I mean? Only God knows. But this is what He didn't say. Do all this extra, and I think that's how we rationalize. I think that's how we rationalize some of our stuff too. Oh, it turned out pretty good.
Or God looked down the future and said, "I'm going to make you. This is going to happen because I foresee that you guys are going to do all of this."
It's always in the plan.
Not that He planned it this way, but I can tell you what's going to happen. I can make this promise to you because I know the kinds of things that you're going to end up doing.
Get all 40s and you're gonna splurge.
So I'm not telling you to go hit for people to make these children. I'm not saying that is the way that I'm saying it's going to that I designed for it
But
to
the
happen.
promise is still gonna happen.
But the
that's
promise
not
is
how-
going to happen
Yeah, and I know
because
it's not the best practice, but
I
I've
foresaw
seen
that
that
this
that's
thing.
gonna happen.
Was there another way for this to happen?
It's God.
could've
It's
been-
always.
There
Leah
could've
could have
been
pushed
several.
out more.
Huh?
Leah could have pushed out
He
more.
could have just stuck with Leah.
He should have stuck with Leah. But nobody wants kids like that.
What do you mean?
Huh?
He ended up getting buried next to Leah. Okay, he loved his wife. He ended up loving his wife. He grew to love his wife.
No, it
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
say
of
that.
course, because after that,
It doesn't say
Rachel
that.
died. I mean,
It
he had no
doesn't say he
real other
grew
choice.
to love her. That was tradition. He didn't
No.
grow to love her.
Did the Bible say
The
that?
Bible didn't say he grew to love her.
What on there? What was tradition?
He said he was buried next to Leah. That's because that was his first wife. That's who he's supposed to be buried next to. That's tradition.
I'm just saying the way everything kind of worked out, and you look at the end result, and then you look at how things kind of played themselves out. It was very interesting. You know, it was very interesting to see the relationships between Isaac Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their women, their kids. People say that they lied a lot. Like, I don't think they really lied a lot.
You think it was a whole family of deceivers? You think it was a whole family of liars?
I don't know if it was a family of deceivers.
Bring your whole point. Bring your point.
The whole, like, they
let him finish his
lied
point.
about what?
So
They lied about going to Egypt once?
No, let's
Hold on.
He lied about his
let's
wife
follow
twice.
this.
Abraham lied about his wife twice or 3 times. One or 2.
So
You guys mixed up stories.
Abraham lies to Abimelech and
The other king.
the other king that Sarah is his wife.
Yeah.
Isaac comes and does the same thing. Laban lies to Jacob.
But what did they lie about though? That's like saying like
Hold
if
on,
I'm
hold on.
bringing a kid across the border and I'm not supposed to bring some kid
Hold on,
across the border,
hold on,
I'm like,
Yeah,
because
but
you want to declare anything? But like,
Let's-
nah, I ain't declaring nothing.
Let's
That's not lying. That's not lying.
But look what happened to the king. He was like, damn, you're about to get me in trouble because that's your wife and you said it was your sister. I can't do this with your wife. I was going to take her because she's pretty, but it's your wife. So we got issues.
So I lie on my wife. I lie and say she's my sister, and I'm wrong because you want to take her?
Because
Yeah.
he can.
Because
That's
he
fine. He can.
What are you
If
talking
you're
about?
available, he can.
How is me now?
Alright, even if you
The blame for you stealing something that's not
You-
yours.
She's
you-
available.
She's
She's
available.
Oh my
He
God.
doesn't know because you lied.
if you lie, she's available.
If you lie, she's available.
If you don't lie, she's not.
Alright.
Which is why God
Next time
stopped
I
it
go
both
out, I'll
times.
be like, Jules, my sister.
Yeah, but
See,
so
Well, I would have no complaint if somebody comes in.
let's continue following. Let's continue following. Rebecca
Snap.
lies to uses Jacob to lie to Isaac. So Jacob and Rebecca lie to Isaac.
Yes.
Right? Then Rachel lies to her father when she takes
Yes.
the
gods.
gods. Laban lies to Jacob
Yes.
when he tells him about the wife.
but these
And
Leah
the wages.
deceives, Leah deceives
Hold on.
Rachel.
But then 10 times he changes his wages, so that's more lies. Then Jacob comes back and lies to
About
Rachel
the
and
goats.
Leah. To Rachel and Leah about how he comes
Yes,
by
sir.
his wealth.
Yes.
Then he lies to his father-in-law. He also lies to Esau.
These aren't even, but these are like lies. Everybody does these lies.
I'm just saying it was a family.
There's not a person here that doesn't lie like this.
I'm just saying it was a family tree.
Hey, hold on.
If we
The
all-
birthright one was everybody does that?
No, we don't have birthrights anymore.
Yeah, everybody dresses up like their brother.
Exactly.
And puts on
to
goat
put
skin
in the whole
to steal a blessing. Everybody does that kind of thing.
Okay, maybe that.
Everybody walks around with their wife saying that that's really my sister.
Everybody.
Yes, out of fear.
All right, hold on.
We're not gonna-
So you're saying,
For real? Are we really doing this? Are we really helping
No,
rationalize?
well, we're not
Not
rationalizing.
Because that's what-
I'm just
But
saying.
what I'm saying,
A lie is
though,
a lie.
the one thing I would the kind of extension of what he's saying though, and I always noticed it going back through Genesis, is that from Adam and Eve left the garden, the family structure was forever dysfunctional.
Correct. That's a good point.
Yes. And here's another thing, people. Brethren, this is something that we all do, and we have to grow out of it.
What's that?
Let's not rationalize. Just man up, woman up. You know, if you do the wrong thing, don't try to rationalize why it's right or why you did it. You know, say when you have a relationship with God, say, listen, I messed up because and I need help with this because I was scared. But to be like, okay, listen, they could kill me. And so I'm gonna say this is my sister. I mean, there's reasons. Yes, we have good reasons for lying. We have good reasons for cheating. We have good reasons for stealing. Many of us have good reasons for everything that we do in our head. But wrong is wrong, and that's where
Who's to determine
and
what
that's
is wrong?
When God says to us not to do these things, and He didn't specifically tell you to do something.
So when
then
David ate the showbread,
then it's wrong. If
everybody
God
in church
tells
would have
me-
been like, "You're wrong for eating the communion."
If God
bread."
tells me, to kill someone, even though killing is wrong, that makes it right. But if God didn't tell me to do that, then it's wrong. And it's really simple. We play with things, but teenagers, high school, they play with it. But as adults, let's stop doing that. It's getting cheesy.
Agreed. I like where you went with with the Genesis story and how you were able to see the God working in the midst of the madness. It's a good observation. Sharika, we're back to you.
Hugh, you got something?
Yeah.
Good, Hugh.
So
He's like,
Luke
yeah.
17,
I gave,
right?
Because I can end with mine.
I think it's probably the first time I read through and I could, I was able to clearly understand, right?
Okay.
And for me, I'm struggling to see how did out of Christ talking about. I can see if you weren't really, if you don't read properly, you could see this whole concept of the rapture, because one is left and the other one is gone. But the context before it is all talking about the fact that it's kind of like in the days of Noah, nobody's paying attention, and I'm coming back. And because what he's saying is that it's going to be business as usual, and that's why he's saying that some will be in tune, some won't be in tune. But I'm still struggling. It's not necessarily struggling, but I now see full clarity as to why there's no basis of the whole rapture thing. If you read it in the full context of what it is, if you just take out that part, you're saying, well,
let's make sure we understand how are we defining rapture.
Okay.
Read it. No, you have to read the scripture.
Where's the?
Okay, so
We in the 20.
17, like we're talking about 20 all the way to the
down.
end.
okay, so you may read 22.
No, 20 to the end is what it is.
Because what he's saying here, right? If you read it in, well, I'm reading from the New Living Translation, right? Where it says that, yes, it will be business as usual right up to the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
What verse is that?
That's 30.
24.
On that day, a person out on the deck of the roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return home. Remember what happened to Lot's wife, right? Because if you cling to your life, you will lose it. And if you let your life go, you will save it. That night, two people will be asleep, and one in bed, and one will be taken, the other will be left. Two women will be grinding flour together at the mill. One will be taken, one will be left, right? Where will this happen, Lord? The disciples asked. Jesus replied, just as the gathering of vultures shows that there is a carcass nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near. So, in a way, you can see, in a sense, how the whole rapture argument, secret rapture argument, but if you read the whole context of it, what it's really saying is the fact that up to the end, nobody will. He starts out by saying that there will be no visible sign. Now I'm coming back. So this is why people will be going on as business as usual, and I think it's really this off the rail interpretation of one is sleeping and one is gone kind of a deal.
I got you. Cool.
Yeah,
Do you feel settled?
They left it like that.
So there's no rapture?
They left it.
How can there be?
Karen and Sharika left that alone.
Yes, because Kenrick and I wrestled this when we were doing videos, and we came up with we read the word. I think,
but you have to go all the way. Like you have to read the entire chapter because
I read the entire chapter.
which is what he was saying.
Yeah. So the end of the chapter.
If you just take that last part, you can see exactly
this before.
But there are people new on here, so we probably should.
Do you think Hugh did a good job covering it?
Nah.
Well, they need to.
So are we gonna go? He read the. That's why I said read it, but.
But I mean, if you read the first part, what it says is that on that day, the Pharisees asked Jesus, when will the kingdom come? Right? And Jesus replied, the kingdom of God can't be detected by visible signs. You won't be able to say, here it is, it's over here, for the kingdom of God is already among you. Right? The time is coming when you will long to see the day when the Son of Man returns, but you won't see it. People will tell you, look here, there is the Son of Man. Here he is, but don't go out and follow them, for as lightning flashes and lights up the sky from one end to the other, so it will be on that day when the Son of Man comes. But first the Son of Man must suffer terribly and be rejected by this generation. When the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in the days of Noah. In those days, the people enjoyed banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat and the flood came and destroyed them all. And the world would be as it was in the days of Lot. People went about their daily business, eating, drinking, buying, selling, farming, and building until the morning Lot left Sodom. The fire and the burning sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. Yes, it will be business as usual right up to the day when the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, a person out on the deck of a roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return home. Remember what happened to Lot's wife. If you cling to your life, you will lose it. If you let your life go, you will save it. That night, 2 people will be asleep, one in bed, and one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding flour together at the mill. One will be taken, the other will be left. Where will this happen, Lord? The disciples asked. Jesus replied, just as the gathering of vultures show that a carcass is nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near.
I got no issues with what you said. My only issue is with the Adventist church. Right. So,
I mean, here's what.
So there's I'm sorry. I can see why there's no rapture. I'm good with that. That's no problem.
Secret rapture.
My only struggle with this is that
there is a rapture.
Sure.
We understand that. My only struggle with this, right, was it highlighted to me the need to not be searching for signs.
So, but this is where I'm going, right? Bet. So Matthew 24-ish. We're not there, but you know, it tells you about the signs of the ends of the times, and I've had many conversations with many theologians of when these things have happened and when they haven't, and whatever. And then we have here in Luke that's like, bruh, stop looking for this. Or when people say, man, Trump's in power now, God must come soon. You're just like, this doesn't really say that too tough. It kind of just says, you're going to be living life. You're not going to be sitting up waiting like, yeah, sir. Sorry, Putin and Trump made friends. They're about to die, you know. So why do we, I guess it's more rhetorical, why do we like to lean on the sun turning red and, you know, the wars and the rumors of wars and all that stuff when it's kind of like, yo, y'all not even going to notice. Why do we do that?
That's not actually what's being said here.
I don't agree that's what's being said.
What's being said here is that...
It said life as usual.
Yes, it does say life as usual, but that's what it's going to appear like. People are going to continue life as usual. But there's other verses that talks about just like you see the weather changing and you know that it's winter time, you can tell what season that you're in. But life will continue as normal is what the verse is saying here.
And in 27.
The clarifying point is what you have in 37. He said, just as the gathering of vultures show that there's a carcass nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near. Not that the end, not that this is the end, but the end is near.
But it also,
go
like
ahead.
27 gave us an example. It says, in the days before the flood, the people enjoyed banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat. So the truth is, what it's saying is, I feel like you guys are saying don't worry about it. I don't think that's what it's saying. I think it's saying if you pay attention, despite all the normal stuff that's going on around you, you will see that the end is coming near because the signs will show you if you look for them. Because like in the days of Noah was building this big ark. And people knew this ark was being built because it was, and they knew
what it was for.
They knew what he said it was for, but they ignored it. And that's the big thing about this to me. They ignored it. They saw this guy building this huge ship in the middle of the land, and then they saw animals starting to come, and they were like, oh, so it's your birthday? Let's go party. You know, and so they're saying, this is saying to me, don't ignore the signs. They're just gonna be happening around you, and things are gonna be normal if you look at the normalcy of everything else is going on. But if you open your eyes, you will see the signs. You will see the big boat.
So why?
But I think let's read another verse and then we can talk.
I'm attacking Kendrick.
Matthew 24.
I yield the floor to gentlemen from
Matthew 24 from verse 32.
Matthew
24.
Oh, Matthew.
From verse 32. So this is after Jesus has talked about the perilous times and the glorious return. He then says, to summarize, and he uses this, but he also uses language similar to Luke.
Okay.
Right after, he says, now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branches have already become tender and it put forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heavens, nor the Son, nor the Father alone. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. Same words Luke has us saying. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. And then he uses more language that Luke uses. There will be 2 men in the field, one will be taken and one left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one taken and one left. Then he goes on to say, therefore, be on alert, for you don't know the day and the hour which the Lord is coming. But be sure of this, if the head of the house had known at what time at night the thief was coming, he would have been on alert, and he would not have allowed his house to be broken into. And then he goes on to say some more things. And then he gives the parable of the 10 virgins after that, about readiness and being prepared.
That was probably
and
the
being
most
aware.
gruesome parable out of anyone, though. Because that's the one where you talk about the master going to come back and cut the servant to pieces. Like, whoa.
What were you going to say, Cameron?
Well, no, I was going to say I think it's twofold. It's the signs, and then there's also the important part is also understanding that the correlation between the grinding at the wheel and Lot's wife, and the fact that you can look at all the signs and all that kind of stuff, but if you're not prepared
to let it go,
to let everything go, like she was grinding she was working, she was at her desk, she was doing what she was supposed to do, so she was looking at the signs and she knew, but if she still wasn't able to walk away from her grinding or get up from the sleeping, then it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So I think it's twofold in what you're.
Yeah. So even if you're saying that you're aware of the signs, the whole point of it, this is really talking about readiness. Mm-hmm. So if you're not, even if you know, but you're not ready, then it makes no difference.
Correct. A lot of people know.
Correct.
That wasn't what I was saying.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I like it. Hold on. I'm in the chat. So, she was doing what she needed to do. The grinding of the whatever, the bread and whatever. I'm saying, it sounds like Jesus, at the end of the day, is saying this. Things are going to be going on, right? Noah's building his ark. The sun's turning red. That's great. I told y'all that's going to happen. If that's what you're looking for, and if you're going to spend all your time trying to watching for that, I'm going to make it happen like 5 times over just to mess with your head. Because that's what you think, that's when you start to get in the boat. When the animals start to come, you feel that's when you decide that I should maybe possibly get in this boat. Versus, you should have been ready to get in the boat from the day one I told you to get in the boat. So if you're needing the bread, or there's no need for you to go downstairs and pack your bag. Your bag already ready, because regardless of what you see going out there, we having a conversation. I've done told you this. And I think what we do many times is we spend so much time. Did the sun turn red yet? Did the clouds flip over yet? At that point, I'm going to try to, whatever. I'm just saying, at that point, I'm going to try to say when the books will close, when they won't close, when should I get myself together, and bam, I'm going to change my life then. Because I'm seeing these things and I'm putting 2 and 2 and trying to make 4.
I agree.
Comes back to compliance versus obedience, though. Why are you doing it? When the consequence is near, you're ready. But then your motivation is still wrong, because if there wasn't any consequence, you'd have never done it.
Because church ain't fun.
No.
If there's no countdown, there's no fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
why are you here?
But that's the thing about it that way. Church isn't fun. Like, we find the hype in the story or in the message. Like, I used to hate when I was up north. I love y'all. But when I was up north,
they would talk about car accidents when a man dead and the eggs are still not broken, and you'd be like, bro, like I really don't like you have this such a dramatic end as to why I should give my life to Christ right now because the car flipped over, he died, and the eggs didn't crack in the carton. Like, is this real life? Like, we put so much drama into it, so then when the drama's gone. It is boring because you're just like, yo, honestly, I'm just sitting around waiting for this dude.
And that's the thing, though. That's the thing. I think, in a way, is this all of us have, and I think churches inherently create this division between this fight that God had between him and the Pharisees. Because for the Pharisees, it was all about compliance and understanding the law and knowing what was going to happen and the structure of it. Because here's the thing. Compliance means that I can do something, and we're most comfortable when we have a part in it. You know what I'm saying? Obedience, and this, I think that's part of the thing too. Why sometimes I think for us, our definition of faith, sometimes people in even other religions have a better understanding of it, because a lot of the times people are like, oh, you know, why if they tell them 10 virgins, they'll go out there and blow themselves up, kind of a thing. But it's more about the understanding for them that, you know, my whole mission, my whole existence is to do whatever it is that is the will. For them, sovereignty is everything. For us, sovereignty is optional. So it's like, hey, you know, I'm good now. And I think even more than that, that kind of comes back to the whole Abraham and Isaac and all that kind of a thing. They were more afraid of that king than they were thinking about the actual real king that they were that they were serving. So it's more like, hey, you know what? I don't know if God will actually protect me here. So let me go tell this king that, yo, no, she's not really my wife. You know what I'm saying? She my sister, right? And I think that's the real struggle for us, because obedience means I don't care who it is. Mm-hmm. And that's why, for me, I think it's a struggle sometimes where we create these pedestals, and really the fact is there's really no pedestal. The fact is everybody should be doing the same thing. It's the fact that we just keep thinking that we can't do it because we just ain't ready to put the skin in the game.
True.
Tiptoe.
That's why I appreciate the Muslims, or some of them, because they're about that life.
Because that's who they are.
They're about that life. I mean, I'm not about that life yet.
I know we need to start closing up, but I do have a question on
That life.
on Proverbs chapter 18 verse 1. I'm going to transition us
Yeah, I
right
love Proverbs.
Proverbs chapter 18 verse 1. My question is, what is privacy?
Man,
What?
hold on.
Privacy.
Proverbs 18:1. Read it and then answer me the question. What is privacy?
I love me some isolation.
In what version are you talking about?
Just read the thing.
I'll read my version.
So
Proverbs
Then use that to answer the question, or to reflect on the question. What is privacy?
Listen, a recluse is self-indulgent, snarling at
You
every
didn't say Proverbs?
Proverbs
18:1?
1?
Listen. A recluse. Proverbs. This is Proverbs. This is
What version are you in?
Are you reading
the same version I've been reading the last couple of years.
I don't remember that.
NLT.
Okay.
We should go around and read. Anyway, I'm sorry.
A recluse is self-indulgent, snarling at every sound principle of conduct.
What is
Wait, can we go and read the different?
Yes, read the
Because they sound completely different. I don't like this version.
Like
Anyway.
NLT.
Okay, go ahead.
It touches on both.
I want it. Mine says, whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment.
what does yours say?
So NLT, I don't know where they get this from, but anyway, whatever.
You're
It says-
NLT too.
Yeah.
No, he got different NLT.
This
They
NLT
updated
says,
it. This
I said-
there's
it
a
says
1984 version.
unfriendly people care only about themselves. They lash out at common sense.
Okay.
What does yours have, Kendrick? What do you have?
I did
I got 4 of them.
exactly.
Read it.
You did NLT. You did what?
ESV.
He didn't know
He did
NLT.
You can read from all of
Get it
yours.
from Amplified. Let's hear it.
So, oh my God.
Do King James.
Yeah,
Read
read all of them. Read all of
first
them.
one and amplified. He who willfully separates and estranges himself from God and man seeks his own desire and pretext
to break out against all wise and sound judgment.
What is privacy?
But I never thought privacy was reclusion.
Or isolation.
That's what I'm asking. What is privacy?
I think privacy is the right to retain
See what
certain
Miriam
information.
says.
What is privacy?
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Privacy is a separation from some outside, I guess a willful separation from some outside
I
influence.
see where you're going, Jared. Oh my.
You want these
What's privacy,
definitions?
Sharika?
To Sharika Winter or to Merriam-Webster?
First start with Merriam-Webster and then give me Sharika Winter.
The state of being apart from other people or concealed from their view. Solitude. The state of being free from unwanted or undue intrusion or disturbance in one's private life or affairs. That's what it really means to Sharika Winter. Freedom from damaging publicity, public scrutiny, secret surveillance, or unauthorized disclosure of one's
That
personal
was
data
just put
and
in
or
last year.
information.
That's the IT version.
State of being concealed secrecy.
That's the Snowden.
So, what does privacy mean
Oh,
to
yeah,
me?
go ahead.
Yes, privacy
I
is.
thought that one was you.
Yeah, that's me. The disturbance. Leave me be. I choose to be undisturbed. Private. Go ahead, Shoni.
Yeah, this one just simply says the state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by other people.
Yeah, see,
Recluse
Jared
bothers me
teed it
because
up.
recluse is a negative.
Now,
Jared's teeing it
recluse
up.
is different than
It seems a big. I look at recluse as being negative.
it is
Choose
because
to withdraw.
privacy is.
Well, not even
When-
choose to
like, I
withdraw.
have-
Like it's like a.
I have
choose to
two
do for
boys,
negative
and when
things.
Yeah.
even when they were little, I would like they would come in the bathroom, and I was like, I need privacy, and they were like, oh, and they would shut the door and stay in the bathroom, and so they were like, she needs privacy
From the outside world.
That's what I mean.
Not from
That's
me.
what the
And
government
I'm just
does.
like, and I'm just like, but you're still in here with
Yeah, but Russia
mommy,
can't see
it's just us. We're upstairs. We can be naked upstairs, and I'm just like, no, you need to be on the other side of the door so I can have privacy. And so, I privacy is very different than recluse. Privacy is for a moment in time for you to have. I was gonna say by yourself, but the truth is, two people can have privacy together too,
Chosen company.
or chosen company.
I'm feeling Jared is trying to challenge the motivation in this whole thing. Can you have privacy while being committed to a life of discipleship?
I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Is what you describing is very different from the definitions that she just
Exactly, because that's not
And
recluse
that-
privacy.
So
Because, but reading this is talking about a person who withdraws from society and from others with the intention of gaining and maintaining their own perspective and making that more of a law than what the reality is.
I think it's talking about the motivation of why you're doing it.
Are we talking about this verse?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Are you
Now that we've defined privacy,
This
how,
dude's crazy,
how do
right?
I
not normal.
I went to the same definition that Sharika had, and it sounds like privacy is motivated by a desire
selfishness.
not to have other people
Intrude.
contact.
Intrude.
Outside
That's a good
influence.
word.
have
Intrude.
people
Intrude
not
is
just intrude. There's a little bit
Intrude
more than
has
weird.
negative.
Or
Intrude
weird.
has a negative. So
no, not just intrude. Even
It's about access.
privacy has in it, not your definition, the other part, the idea of not allowing other people to have say or contribute to the things that or hold me accountable
That's what
for.
this guy was.
Or hold me accountable for the things that I want
That's
to do.
not
So
privacy.
you're saying a book.
But that's not.
That's, hold on.
No,
not
but that's the
privacy.
but that's the definition that.
But
So
you're
when
talking about Webster, though.
when Shonice first read, and I think it was you, and
No,
you said
Sharika.
Sharika first read.
No,
and
who
then
said
I read.
recluse?
You did.
Oh, the Bible. Yes, recluse.
Recluse
Yes.
is what
Yes.
you're saying.
But that's not privacy.
That's
Hold on,
not
hold on.
privacy.
Sharika just read the English language definition of privacy.
We heard
Not
it.
your thing. Not your thing. You have ascribed that meaning to. You've ascribed
Your
the word
understanding to that.
You've ascribed that meaning to the word privacy. Sharika, read the English
What are you
definition.
talking about?
Sharika, read the definition of privacy
You
again.
confused me. You lost me for a second. You said
Vanessa, I think Facebook Live may have died.
I know.
Got it.
I'm trying not to disturb.
Everything has died.
I know.
Oh, our
What's the show then?
our time is up.
What happened?
Okay,
Time out.
Everything hasn't died.
we have a time constraint. They give us an hour and 15 minutes, and bam, they're like, "You're done, people."
Do we really?
He run out
No,
of time.
you shouldn't. Facebook Live should be able to go forever and ever and ever.
Just overrun by all the balls right now.
Start on Facebook.
You said all the balls.
It's so funny. Like
Like,
I was
what-
listening to
like you
NPR
said
today, and
ball?
they were like, "Oh yeah,
Balls.
Trump has two balls."
BALLS.
Yeah, the balls. The Trump
And then
balls.
she could,
Everybody keep going live.
She's like, "Oh, two inauguration balls."
Right?
It's gonna come up in a whole new feed.
It's hilarious.
I'm confused.
But it's still running.
I'm not. Jared is trying to use the word privacy where it's not supposed to be.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
But that's the definition of the word, Shanice. Why
What
you
I'm
trying to
saying
change?
is-
Wait, the people
That's the whole
What
thing.
definition did she say? That's what you
Wait,
said.
Mine was saying
the
that
people
mine
are
was
vexed
definition.
that we're not going. Like, I'm getting
The
private
stream is coming
text
back up.
messages because they're like, wait a minute, I'm looking up the definition of privacy too.
The stream should come back up. We should be coming back up.
We look at Jared trying
I'm
to stoke
confused.
fires late.
Don't be confused. Jared is trying to.
No,
Jared is
he
trying
using
to ascribe
Webster.
extra to privacy. Privacy is not recluse.
If they can't, if the feed doesn't come up, send a message to live@waterfordpeople.com.
I read
It's still live.
definition too, but it's not Webster. Webster's not the only dictionary. I read dictionary too. Mine just a
So your Webster game.
I guess what I'm.
because she looked up Miriam, so I was gonna definitely look up something else.
So what are we saying? We throw in Miriam out?
No, I'm saying
That's the governing.
No, I'm saying I added.
Why is
a different-
Miriam the governing?
Exactly, that's
dictionary?
why I
'Cause
just
she
gave a
looked-
different
Because
one.
she stayed with the baby.
No.
Merriam-Webster is
Oh.
the dictionary that we usually go to for the
Oh,
English.
Miriam.
Yes.
I said Miriam.
Miriam
I'm in a biblical
Webster.
mode right
Listen, I'm going home.
now. So hold on, I'm trying to.
Oh, we still on the air?
Yes.
Oh,
You
sorry.
mean home like
She get what she wants,
home to the
privacy.
kingdom. So listen.
Privacy.
So I'm trying to understand.
Privacy, not recluse.
No, recluse technically. And when I looked up the definition
So
of
read
recluse,
read the privacy definition again.
All right, hold on.
No, read recluse, please.
Well, I can only take one request.
So you need to read your text again. I think
This
that's
guy
the
right
confusion.
here in 18 is not looking for privacy.
Exactly.
This guy is looking to be a recluse.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No, recluse is not far from privacy as you think, according to the definition of recluse. I'm about to come
No,
through.
recluse is an
How you
extreme
will
of
tell me.
privacy.
Hold on, man. Recluse, a person who lives in seclusion or apart from society.
Yes.
Often for religious meditation.
But that's what I'm saying. You said lives apart.
That's
I
first
do
of
not
all,
believe
I don't.
lives apart
Who said that?
from
Is that
society.
what Miriam
So
said?
you know what society
Yeah.
means? Society
No.
But
means
privacy is the
Go back to privacy.
going
and be
back
private.
to temporary.
Okay.
Privacy could be a
We
lot
can
more
just reroute
temporary
everybody
than
to
that.
live.waterfordpeople.com.
Yeah, I did. But
I don't think
privacy-
there's a time. I disagree. I don't think there's a time constraint on privacy.
Yeah.
I think, but I do think that privacy
Is the
is
motivation for them
absent.
different?
I think privacy is absent of, or
So,
can
I'm back
include,
to
but
privacy.
does not
You want me to
necessarily
read it?
have to be the fact that this dude right here at 18.1 is very intentional about why he's going into
You
privacy.
don't want opinion.
Isolation.
Hold on.
He-
Before we
Yes,
use the word privacy
Isolation and
again.
privacy.
I'm gonna use the word
Before
privacy.
we use the word privacy again, please let's read the English definition of privacy.
The state of being apart from other people or concealed from their view. Solitude, seclusion. The state of being free from unwanted or undue intrusion or disturbance in one's private life or affairs. Freedom to be left to be let alone.
Yes.
So, based on that definition,
Where you going, Jerry?
why does this person want to be left alone in 18:1?
Because he wants to do his own thing.
What does the person who seeks privacy seeking, based on the English definition?
Separation.
No. Unwanted.
One of them
Unwanted
says
intrusion.
unwanted. That's not necessarily. Come on, man.
So wait. What are you saying though? We should
I have
give
a
up
world
privacy?
definition of privacy also, and this,
Wikipedia.
this is. I'm sorry. I'm
Don't worry
sorry.
about it. I just adjusted that one just now.
I'm sorry.
It shouldn't have turned
No,
around the
this is not
phone.
Wikipedia.
That joint's like
It should have
that's like
not
January
turned
20th, 2017.
No,
The
it's
definition. That was
so.
I'm listening. We're listening.
Because the semantics of it, of an extreme. Semantics is when you take a word and you can use it one way or another way, and you make it stick to one. We can't make the word privacy stick to extreme seclusion, because it's not only that. It can be the other way, where you just want to pee and poop for a minute.
Is that really
that
privacy?
That's not privacy
and-
according to the English
That's not
definition.
privacy based on the
Privacy.
definition.
No.
Not based on the definition.
There is there's a
The condition of being
definition. There's
free.
a definition in there of privacy
It
that's
is.
very loose.
Yes, and this
It's
was the
very
state of
For
being
example.
free from being observed
This guy
or
right
disturbed
here
from other
is
people.
not looking
Meaning,
for privacy.
I want a
This
private
This dude
shower.
is looking to
I want a
be
private
recluse.
shower.
He's looking to take who
Apparently,
he
Kendrick
is.
is right though.
He's looking to take who he is, because it's very clear on what he says. He's like, he willfully separates and estranges himself from God and man, and
God
seeks
and man.
his own desire and pretext, and then it goes a little further. You can argue that's privacy there. But then he comes back and he says to break out against all wise and sound. This dude doesn't want to hear anything anybody has to say, and it sounds here more permanent than privacy being something that someone wants.
Has nothing to do with unfriending.
No. I know.
And even though I don't agree,
But what I'm saying
privacy
is
is a time frame.
can it apply to the when you say it's none of your business?
I'm just saying, I know a lot of people who want their privacy because they want to be able to do
Whatever
wanna
they
do
want.
without being
Observe.
Yes.
without
the council.
without sound judgment.
Yes.
They don't want to be held accountable. They want the space, the freedom to do
Or,
that.
or
I like privacy
or
in
they
that
on-
perspective.
Or they only surround themselves with people who approve what they're about to do
Correct.
Yes.
But
I
that's
call
not
that
privacy.
privacy.
and call that privacy.
That's not privacy.
It
That's
is.
Yes,
that's
it is.
It is.
It is.
You just said privacy is not bound by numbers, right? You just said
No,
you
I
like
said
privacy
time.
with your in your conversation you said I like privacy and I
With
can
some.
also enjoy privacy with my husband.
You said that.
yes.
So it's
So-
not.
so
it's
you
not
do
numbers.
singular.
So there's not
It's
yeah,
not
it's not,
singular,
It's not
plural.
singular.
It
And
could
if y'all
be-
swing, it's really plural.
We don't. We don't.
It better.
Is that verse 2?
There are no
Like, I didn't
Don't
see that
stand
one.
up.
no invitation.
So my thing is
Focus, people.
we are focused. So what I'm saying is, so number one, more than one person can be
Private, yes.
Private dinner.
You basically
Private
don't
room.
want to be. You don't want to have
But
any
there's
sort of
different-
adversarial thought.
Yes.
Outside influence is what I would say.
Not even outside
It's not even-
influence.
if
It's
outside is
different. It's
if
an
outside is
alternative.
appealing, then it's
It's an
fine.
alternative influence.
Yeah.
So if all of us are
Okay.
here, okay, we're smoking a joint, and we know Vanessa ain't smoking with us, stay upstairs, Vanessa. We don't want you
We
down
want
here. We
privacy.
want privacy.
Yes.
Now, didn't want to come do it, come through. It's all
It's
about.
all good.
It's all good.
Yes.
Yes.
I just know a lot
Not
of
that.
people.
Not that. Not that. There's anything wrong
you have
with
a point.
But here's where I'm going. I know a lot of people who are so tightly guarded in their privacy because they don't want to allow other people to have influence on the things.
Is that bad though?
I think he's coming for me.
I'm saying
So we're not touching that button.
the reason someone does that, according to, I'm just not going to read this verse in the New American Standard Bible. He who separates himself seeks his own desire and quarrels against all sound wisdom. I was saying that to say, I'm not necessarily going to say it's good or bad or judge it to be good or bad, but it made me reflect on if I am separating myself so that I have the flexibility, the autonomy, the right to do what I want without the influence of others, I deny myself wisdom that could help me.
But what about in the sense of I need time to think?
These verses
that's
are
not what I'm
all
talking
over the
about.
place.
That's not what I'm talking
Or
about.
what if? Or what
I mean,
if?
and actually,
because
no,
because,
they all
because
talk
on one
about the
hand you're
counsel.
talking about
Unfriendly
you're talking about the
person
verse.
pursues selfish ends and against
I don't
all
see how you
sound
have
judgment
unfriendly here.
starts quarrels. That's NIV. I don't understand how
The
out of-
start squirrels. The start
That's
squirrels
not-
don't make
that's
sense.
not related.
Number one, is not someone who recluse.
Doesn't
Someone
necessarily mean
who's
they're
so
unfriendly.
be bothered.
Doesn't mean
it's
they're
not just
unfriendly.
mean they're unfriendly.
Right, it
They
doesn't.
just don't want to. He doesn't want to hear anybody's opinion right now. That's not unfriendly. Number one. Starts quarrels.
Stop
They never
justifying
said
that.
he
Me by
wanted to start a
myself.
quarrel.
I'm just open.
You just
here.
say you don't want
You
to hear
just like,
nobody's
I don't
mouth.
want to hear it.
That's it.
That's not starting a quarrel.
That makes you
It's the
upset.
sound judgment.
And he's not even saying I don't want to hear it. He just says
I'm out.
he just separated.
Exactly, I'm
He
out.
left quietly.
I'm out.
He didn't tell anybody
No,
he left.
that's not true. That's not true, guys.
How is that
It's
not true?
okay because that's not what this is saying. It's
He
okay to
will-
be. It's okay to be an introvert, but
There's
don't
some-
try to
Let's have some
inject it in
conversation
here.
in the room.
Don't try to inject it into here. It says snarling at every
your
single
version
point
says
of
that.
That's my
contact.
problem. I'm
That's the
saying
problem. The
that
versions don't
I'm
match.
not saying your version. What you're saying is wrong. I'm saying
The versions
that
don't
each
match.
of these versions says something different.
he's
But they all have something.
No.
They all have
There's only
where
one
he's
underlying
coming out
theme.
and saying where
This one
but
says
the
that-
reasons why he's keeping to himself
Is for a lack of
that
judgment.
it's so that he doesn't want
The judgment.
he doesn't want you to be able to influence him, but he wants to be able to influence you with the thoughts that he's come up with.
No,
That's not what it says.
No,
It doesn't.
No, nothing different.
Time out. I'm gonna read all four. I'm gonna
Okay,
read all
go ahead,
four.
But before
go
you
ahead.
read all four, we have someone saying recluse is a state of being. Privacy is more temporary. Privacy is not short term. Everyone guards their privacy all the time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. IT
I
changed
can
privacy
get that.
to
Yeah, something
definitely.
else.
There's
Yeah.
it's not bound by time.
I don't know. Another person was they going back and forth. They having conversations in the room. I don't see privacy as long term. That's someone else says that's not considered privacy. So more so being selective. But every time you create privacy, you're separating yourself.
Yes.
Rain says being against sound judgment would be negative. The Bible says he who hates wisdom hates his soul. Godly wisdom, of course. Landy says yes, you are separating yourself for a time. Recluse means you have separated yourself. When I ask for privacy, it's temporary. Recluse.
I mean, what-
Jared said recluse is a long-term
Privacy has
separation.
no time bound.
Privacy's not bound by time. Privacy's not bound by numbers.
It can't.
It's
Go ahead.
not. It's
It
not.
can't.
Especially now.
It's not.
Maybe before people saw privacy as temporary. Now we see privacy as being much more of a static.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
All right.
depends on what's
'Cause there's
Someone else
different
says there's
Yeah.
a difference
private.
between being private and requesting privacy.
That's true. That's true.
So,
agree.
so the reason why I'm saying, and I'm not disagreeing
go ahead,
with you,
go ahead and
I'm
read
just
it, read
saying,
it, read it.
Yeah, the versions
So,
are all over.
NIV
Read it.
says, an unfriendly person pursues selfish ends and against all sound judgment starts quarrels.
Okay, stop.
Hold on.
Stop.
We're not analyzing each verse. We're
just
going through and
reading
seeing
it.
the
We're going through all
differences
of it.
between
Okay,
all
go
the
ahead.
verses. 18, through desire, a man having separated himself seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. New American Standard, he who separates himself seeks his own desire, he quarrels against all sound wisdom. Amplified, he who willfully separates and estranges himself from God and man seeks his own desire, pretext to break out against all wise and sound judgment. All of these things
Say the same thing.
The last two say the same thing.
No, the last two said the same thing.
NIV's all
The
over.
first one is crazy because
NIV
First one said
nothing
the same
about
thing as the
unfriendly.
last two.
no, it
has
deemed the man
nothing to do with
unfriendly,
unfriendly.
which
And quarrel.
never said anything in there. And it says that he starts quarrels, which is
Nothing.
none of this ever
Me,
said that he did any of those
excusing
things.
myself does not mean I'm starting a quarrel.
Yeah.
No, that's called. But that's not what this is saying.
This is what it said.
This is
Even
not.
NIV said
It has
quarrel.
2 points. It has
Unfriendly and
this
starting
has
quarrels.
2 points. This
So
is
that's
not
your
yours.
word. We're talking about the 4 over here.
Okay, the 4 over there. The second one.
He
So
willfully
the second
separated
one
himself.
sounds a little different, where it doesn't say anything about him actually. It does. It's not clear about him actually.
It does making it
saying
deep.
something, saying or doing something, or in engaging with anyone else. It doesn't say anything that we can say clearly. But the first one, the third one, and the fourth one all talk about. I'm not going to use the word recluse. Separating themselves
Yeah.
for the purpose because this is not a jail.
He didn't do it to start a quarrel.
He did it, and then whenever sound judgment is presented at all,
he quarrels against it.
he quarrels
That's not
against
what that
it, or even if it doesn't present itself,
He says he doesn't like the judgment.
He's ready to push against it.
First,
yes. If you want that.
1, 3, and 4 in this one
Say that.
all say that. They're all saying the same thing. The second one might be saying that. It's just that the wording was
Terrible.
a little
Can I add this thought
less
right
clear.
here? I get a text from Fred who says, when you become a disciple of Christ, you surrender your right to be private. Or your right not to be observed in every aspect of your life. Your life becomes an open book, open to scrutiny and dissection. Why? Because when God fills your life, then there should be
Fire.
no part of it. Then there is no part of it that should. It reflects on him or brings him glory. It is not people who are always going to be watching, but if there were to be, but if they will, there will be nothing to hide. We surrender the right not to be held accountable for the walk we claim with Christ.
Why do we believe privacy is hiding? Why do you think I'm
Hold
hiding
on. What is the?
That's why I didn't like the
motivation for
What
being
is
private.
That's what I'm saying.
Why didn't you be
let's not use the word
Look at his
private.
face right now.
What is your motivation for separation?
Snarl.
That's what I'm saying.
If I decide that I want to spend one-on-one time with someone, we could sit in here reading the Bible. If I decide to do that, that doesn't mean I'm hiding. I feel like Fred's definition leads to believe that I'm hiding because I'm about to sin or do something negative. Versus, I might just like my own time,
But this
or
is not
I might
talking
just
about
want to
you.
kick with. What you mean? It's not
This is not talking about that kind of situation.
No,
That's not
I
what this
said
is talking
based
about.
on what Fred just said. He said that I
Fred.
removed my right of all privacy, and I'm simply, if I want to wipe my behind, let me wipe my behind. That doesn't mean that I'm about to do something negative.
But
It just means I don't want your company. I'm allowed to not have your company. I'm taking
hold on.
This is
So hold on.
That's why I said I didn't like the word privacy. That's why I didn't like the word privacy, because it brought a word that has such a broad sense to it. To this,
I'm not gonna use privacy.
To this scripture.
I'm gonna use me. So, if there's
That's
something
even more complicated.
if there's something that I don't want to participate in, right?
It's not gonna show up. I'm just not gonna show up.
As a Christian, you're saying I have no ability.
That's not what he said.
I have no ability to walk
what he's
away and just go back and not have to listen to any of it.
No, that's not what he's saying. This is what he's saying simply. Okay,
Because this is what this guy's saying.
No, this is what
He willfully separates and estranges
him.
himself from God, man, seeks his own desire and pretext to break out against all wise and sound judgment.
That's not the example you're giving. The example you gave was, I don't feel like it. So what? And what Fred is saying is, you can't live your life and then somebody be like, word, you did that? And you're like, mind your business.
Why
Mind
not?
your business.
Why not?
Mind
Hold on.
your business.
Is your
Everything I
whole
do,
life a witness?
mind your business. So if I see you,
Is
if
your
I
whole
see you
life a
doing something,
witness?
I'm like, for real, Sharika? You're like, mind your business. And
You should mind your business.
So you can say no as a Christian.
I don't have to have an
as a
answer for you.
Christian.
I don't.
As a Christian.
I'm gonna need you to mind your business.
As a Christian, if you call yourself by my name, if you call yourself by not my name, and I say I'm God, and then you're telling other people that that you belong to
God
me,
told Joseph
you don't
mind
get to say mind your business to everyone, because you're proclaiming
told
to
Joseph to mind his
be
business.
part of God. So if I say I'm a Christian,
Jesus told
and
Mary
then
to mind
I'm
her business,
telling
and he
people I'm a
said,
Christian,
But it's
but I'm
motives,
not,
though. That's
I'm not
what we're
behaving like a Christian
It's motives.
at
Jesus
all.
told people to mind their
I'm
business.
so
At
my-
all.
my-
Father
And
told
then-
people to mind their
and
business.
It's
then,
motive. It's motive.
can I
It's not
finish?
even-
Can I finish
it's not
my
even
sentence,
motive.
people?
It's-
If I call myself a Christian and I say I'm a Christian, okay, these are my words. I lose the right to tell everyone to mind their business when I choose often to act like I'm not a Christian.
So
That's
what if
not-
I then
but
that's
that's
what you're
not-
saying. You're
then
putting a
don't say-
negative spin on
but
that.
that's-
Even if it's a
I'm not
positive,
saying-
but even if
I'm
it's a
saying what
positive
he's
spin,
saying.
even if it's
So-
a positive spin, I still can tell you to mind your business. If I'm sitting here
No, but
reading
you
the Bible,
can't.
it's
You're
against
wrong.
you know why?
You're
You know
wrong.
why?
But
You know
you're
why?
wrong then.
Because
But
I've been in
Everybody
situations.
can't hear
I've been in a
you.
situation where I've had my
That's
phone
awful.
in my hand. And somebody has come up. I'm reading the Bible in church, and I've had somebody come up to me and be like, "Stop being on Facebook. Mind your business." Because guess what? You came to me with a negative. I was doing something wrong. Technically, I was doing nothing wrong but reading the good word of
My
God.
only thing
Now,
is to
since
break
you
it
went
down.
down that street, I don't really care to correct you. Mind your business. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Now you're taking one situation. This is talking about your whole life.
But what I'm saying is, we're using to say in every negative situation, I'm not allowed to say mind your business.
No,
I'm
that's
allowed
not
to say
what I
mind your
said.
business,
That's
even
not
if
what I
I'm
said.
sitting here.
That's not what I said. I said your life.
What are you thinking about?
I
So
said
just
your
mind your
life.
business.
Jared, you done
That's what I said. I
opened
said your
up
life.
Pandora's box. How are we going
I
to
said your
close
life.
it back?
How are we gonna?
Because we
Mind your business.
Because sometimes you generalize one thing, mind your business. For somebody for me to say I'm a Christian and then I say okay, for you to say okay, now Shani, since you're a Christian, now everyone can look in your bank account because they don't have to mind their business. That's not the same thing. It's not
No
the
one's
same
saying
thing.
that.
So for someone to look at my bedroom because I'm a Christian, it's not the same thing. For someone to see that you're on the phone and say, "Oh, you're looking
But
at
he
Facebook,"
just-
that's
but-
not the same thing. I'm saying your life. Your life
Yes,
becomes
but that's your-
a mirror
but
of
that's your
Christ.
life.
But that's a part of your life. What you're doing every day is a part of your life.
So whether I do whatever I do in my bedroom, if y'all find out that I'm knocking off 4 chicks in my bed with my wife, right?
What, mind your business?
That's my bedroom.
That's my
right?
life.
That's privacy. However, based upon what you're saying two things. Number one, you're saying
And you should not be proclaiming to be a Christian.
why not? I see all these dudes doing it in the Bible.
Hold on.
What I'm saying is my point is what I'm saying is you can't speak out both sides of your mouth. You can't say well, yes, in specific examples, you can't, like my bank account and my bedroom and da-da-da, but then say my life. My life incorporates all of those. It's got to be one or the other.
Right.
No, it does not.
Yes, because it's a part of your
Okay,
life.
We going around in circles.
That's what you're saying.
Your life is a
I agree.
There's certain things that's general,
Yeah,
and there's
we
certain
already
things that's
feel-
specific.
We already how much
Specific
how
of
much
my
we
life
gonna
or
take?
just-
When God says, if you love me,
This
keep
is
my
the never
commandments,
ending
and you're like,
Mind your business, you.
It's the never ending story.
It
What I'm
doesn't
saying is,
matter.
are we going to leave the people with a conclusion, or are we going to just keep going around in circles?
You can't?
You can't.
So
Because I don't agree with this definition that we're going on in.
that's why privacy should not have been used.
Listen,
for this.
can we talk about the motivation and not the outcomes?
It doesn't
So
matter what's
this- so-
motivating me.
so-
I'm just an
so
open person.
can I get?
But
to-
this is not about personality.
No, that-
This is about a person who is
Perverting the
purposely.
definition of the motive.
And that's the thing.
It's like you
That's the
perverting
thing.
the
You guys are
I don't
getting
have to tell
defensive
you
because you're
nothing.
introverts. This is not about being introverted. This is about
introvert?
You're like, I'm not. She said, I'm not
Alright, Jared.
a open person. I'm like, that's
No,
not. This is
my me
saying.
being
It's saying
open or not
the
open has
rules-
nothing to do with my introversion. Even if I was an extrovert, I'm still not an open person.
Alright.
I'm simply saying, all I'm saying is simply this.
Alright, Brigadier General. You
Whether
take a
I'm
shot.
having a great day and giving out $1 million, or I'm having a bad day and I'm
make sure I'm
busting
first.
something.
Giving out
Yeah.
$10,000.
If you're gonna say my life is a witness, those two include my life, and then you're saying that I should open the book in all aspects of it. And I'm saying I should not have to. I can tell you to mind your business. I can tell you to do that simply because I have no heaven or hell for you. And your walk and my walk are two different walks. Stay in your lane. Just like Jesus was telling Mary, stay in your lane, son. Don't tell me to make no wine right now. Just stay in your lane. Father told Jacob, stay in your lane. You don't know what I be doing. Mind your business for a minute. And don't take it negatively. Me telling you to mind your business doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It just means you're too fast. Like, that's all it means.
If that's the truth, there's no such thing as making people stumble. If that's the truth, there's no such thing as making people stumble and being a stumbling block. There's no such thing.
I could be a stumbling block unknowingly.
Can I interject here? Privacy is a big word with several different meanings.
Yes.
Right? It includes retreat, but it also includes the definition that Sharika had, the option to have people not
interfere
with what I'm doing, contribute, influence. That stood out to me. This verse stood out to me because it says, "He who separates himself seeks his own desire."
Right.
The motivation for seclusion, privacy, for many of us, and I'm not talking about retreat, I'm talking about that definition of privacy, is to seek
your own desire.
My own desire and not have to deal with the wisdom, counsel, advice, perspectives of others. And this impacted me because it revealed that motivation in our privacy. Because we are not just witnesses but now community, part of our responsibility is to be iron sharpening iron and to hold each other accountable. If I so viciously guard my privacy, and I'm not talking about retreat, we're not talking about retreat.
So
hold on. What she described as going in the toilet to use the toilet by herself without her children being there, let's consider that idea retreat.
I disagree with this whole thing.
Let's consider Sharika's going outside to pray with her, her brother or sister or father. Let's also consider that retreat. We're not calling it privacy. We're taking back privacy to the definition that you read there. If you want, we could read it again, please.
I disagree with this. It's just a blanket statement.
Hold on. What I'm saying is,
and
I'm not talking. I'm not
from
just
other people or concealed. Hold on.
Even the definition of privacy reveals a motive.
The state of being apart from other people or concealed from their view. The state of being free from unwanted or undue intrusion or disturbance in one's private life or affairs.
But that's a very specific. I guess my thing is, I get the motive, but that's a very specific motive. You can't group that into privacy or
I think he's separated it though.
I know, but it's separated into something very specific. What he's saying is that if you're doing this in order to get away from this and this and this and this, then that's not
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that as we seek privacy,
be careful of the motive.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we probably need to start reflecting on why
am I seeking it?
Why am I seeking to separate myself?
Right.
Why am I seeking to be guarded? Why don't I want to be in community with others?
That's Espen.
And is it to seek my own desire? I do, to one extent, agree with Fred that once I become a part of the community, while I have the prerogative to retreat, I don't necessarily have the prerogative to seek my own desire without it leaving myself open to counsel. I would even say Achan buried treasure privately in his tent. And lots of people died because of it, because he was seeking his own desire in his privacy. And so
It's his
really,
tent, mind the business.
and his tent, mind my business. But
No, I'm just saying. I'm just showing how it can easily be tied back.
I just wanted us to reflect on our motives. I was not intending to judge privacy per se. I wanted to use privacy to help us start the thinking of the process. When I use the word privacy, what do I mean? I wanted us to be more intentional about our words and our word usage when I brought it up, because I do know a lot of people whose definition of privacy is Proverbs 18:1. But then there's some people whose definition of privacy is retreat, as you described it. And I'm just saying, let's be intentional. Let's examine our motives. And if our motives lead us towards this place of seeking our own desire, if we are, as Fred said, or as Shonice is saying, if I do claim to be a part of this community of believers, then what I do affects everybody else. And I need to be open. If the finger is sick, the whole body is sick. And the head has a right to help the finger get better. The finger can't say, mind your business, it's just me. No, it's not just you, because you're attached to me.
Everybody did.
And a lot of us just don't want, we want to quarrel against sound wisdom. We don't want other people in our business because we don't want them to tell us that what we're doing is wrong. We want to enjoy what we're doing in private so that we could enjoy it. And I was trying to highlight that. That's where I was coming from. Does that make sense?
Sounds good. Silence is not consent, but we'll leave it at that.
Thoughts?
That's cool.
Sharita?
And the takeaways.
All right. Well, let's do takeaways. If you watch, well, you are watching. Please, if you're in the chat, if you're not in the chat, join the chat. We talked about a lot of things today. We talked about stuff from Luke. We talked about stuff from Matthew. We talked about stuff from Genesis. We talked about stuff from Proverbs. And so we said a lot of things, and I don't want this to just, well, it's not our intent, our collective intent for this to just be idle conversation that was entertaining or interesting or stimulating in some form or fashion. We really want that out of this, that we all leave with something intentional that's going to help us to live better tomorrow. So I'm asking if you can articulate in the chat your takeaways. What's the one thing that we talked about today that you're going home with and you can say, I learned something, this is valuable to me, and I can find practical application for this in my life. We're going to go around and say it because, and if you share yours, we're going to try to read yours. But please, if you're watching, please share your takeaways. Please articulate your takeaways, because there's value in saying it more than just reflecting on it in your head. So with that said, I'm going to start with Shonice and come around.
My takeaway was from Luke, Luke 17, and that when something sticks out to us, to pay attention to it, because the world, whatever happens in the world becomes normalized. Everyone's eating, drinking, partying. They're just going throughout life, and we are too. And sometimes it's easy to get caught up in going through the motions to the point where we miss the fact that a big ark is being built and animals are starting to walk toward it, and we're supposed to be on that boat too. So just keep our eyes open, keep a relationship with God, and continue in our relationship with God, so that we know the difference between people building a house and an ark being built right in our neighborhood.
Sounds good.
Sharika?
So my takeaway didn't come up today, but for some reason, see, God be talking to me sometimes. Sometimes we have conversations and it seems like, I should talk about it and what I got from it. It's not a question, it's a conclusion. It was from Genesis 21, and what I took away was that we need to try not to be Abrahams. So what Abraham was given a promise that he was going to be a father, and it was just taking too long. So he was like, I bet I'm gonna go get Hagar and work this out, because clearly it's not Sarah. It can't be Sarah, because we've been waiting for too long, and I'm guessing we're trying and we're not producing anything. So it must be his concubine, which my father and my grandfather all had access to anyway, so I'm going to try my hand at her. And he took it into his own hands, and unfortunately, Ishmael had to leave without a dad. Yes, they were blessed, but he was, for many, an incomplete and separate family. And God didn't punish them for that. He was just like, yo, that's not what I planned for you. I'm going to bless them, but you still can't have them. I meant for Sarah. And so I say that in our lives a lot of times, especially me, when I'm waiting on God, I can be a Abraham and say, all right, well, I got a couple options sitting here. Since you ain't tell me exactly which one of these it really is, I'm going to just choose one and hope that that's the one that you had. Just disregarding time, choice, or whatever. It's just, well, you put them there, so I guess it must be one of these. Let me move forward with it. And so, let's not be Abrahams was really, I don't know who that's supposed to be for, because it's been on my mind since Wednesday. But somebody who's watching is supposed to get that. So, take that. Don't take that. Don't be an Abraham.
You?
I think it was kind of pointed that Luke, we're reading this week, and we read about Nicodemus. And I think one of the things that he highlights in the context of the social fabric right now is that it's very easy for us to decide to judge someone based on their past intent, but until we give them a platform, or until we're actually open to understanding that there is possibility for them to change, we will never know where they actually are. And I think, especially where we are right now, there are a lot of us who are prescribing element of a lot of us who have written off people because of their views, but over and over the Bible shows us that that is not necessarily where we should be as Christians, because for the Pharisees, their struggle was, how can you associate with this guy? But from the very first conversation he had with God, he was more motivated to do even more than they were.
Well, Cameron?
You know me, man. I don't really have a takeaway. I guess the thing that stands out is just going back and forth through this 18:1 verse, and just sometimes it's difficult to understand. Sometimes it's difficult to understand the Bible because or what God is actually trying to say, because of the various interpretations and versions. It's easy to have inconsistencies, and a word or two here and there can change the entire effect of how you read the verse and how you interpret the rest of the chapter. So my takeaway is read like all 4 versions, or like all 20 versions.
Read the whole book.
Like that's.
We have 2 here so far. Rain. The time that spans between the signs can be longer than we think, and that's why that's when most people fall off, and that's why many people now don't think he's ever coming back. But at the end of the day, if you focus on the relationship with Christ, you won't be left behind, and you'll be ready, because he will help you to be ready for him. You'll drop all the draws necessary to enter the kingdom, so focus on relationship.
Drop draws.
Gerald says, my takeaway is Jacob having to work for all those years to get the wife he wanted. I don't know if I could have done that. On top of that, he had to deal with Laban cheating him of the work he completed towards his goal for Rebecca. Rain goes, P.S. I'm still waiting on my Dropping Draws t-shirt. If you have any more, please let us know real quick. Jared, go ahead.
My takeaway.
We have another one.
Okay.
My takeaway, we have Quay. My takeaway was the act of comparison, comparing and coveting, coincide, which seems to be very common on images. Focus on your personal blessing, be a blessing for others, and pray for growth for you or of you.
I think my takeaway had to do with the thing you raised about the signs and the readiness, and it made me think of Revelation 16, from about verse 9. Men were scorched with fierce heat. They blasphemed the name of God who has the power over these plagues, and they did not repent so as to give them glory. Verse 10 says, Then the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues because of pain. And they blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and they did not repent of their deeds. So it feels to me like people are aware of the things that's happening around them. They're just not responding according to what it would take for them to be saved. They're not repenting. So they continue to marry and give in marriage, and they continue to live life as normal. And that's why it seems to be they'll be caught by surprise, because this is just the new way of life. The heat is just a new way of life. It's nothing new. It's just normal. So we continue on, and they miss the point of it. And so I was just, as I'm looking on the news and I'm seeing all of these strange things that are happening that are, record breaking and outside the norms and whatnot. It's not that we're not aware that something is happening or that we're changing seasons, so to speak. Are those changing seasons prompting a response? And that's kind of where I'm reflecting. Is it prompting a response in me? I forget anybody else right now. Is it prompting
Should I be private?
a response? Man. I want to say thank you for everybody who tuned in and joined the conversation and hit us up through the various forms. I apologize for the Facebook feed going down, but we had a small power outage that caused that feed to kick out. Thank you for everybody who switched over to live.waterforthethirsty.com to keep us going. We were able to keep that stream up. We will be on every first and third Friday from 8 p.m. every first and third Friday. So the next one will be the first Friday in February. Hopefully the elder will be back with us there to give us some additional and broader perspectives. If you don't already have a copy of the reading plan, this really only makes sense if you're reading along with us. You can download the reading plan at waterforthethirsty.com, and if you have an Android phone,
go to Google Play.
Go to Google Play and get the app.
Did you get that?
Not yet.
Go to Google Play and get the app.
I'm gonna do it right now.
The iPhone iOS app is in the works. Well, it's just waiting to be approved, and somehow it's taking abnormally long because I think we're on 3 weeks now. But it was designed at the same time. So once it gets approved, we'll let you guys know. And in the week, because we have 2 weeks between our sessions, we invite you to join our Facebook group and share your insights. Let's continue the conversation. Let's even join the pursuit of intimacy with the Father during the week and share our insights there. That being said, let's bow our heads. Shrika, would you pray for us to close?
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity to dive into your word. I want to thank you for the opportunity to even fellowship together on one accord. I ask that you give us the zeal to continue to study throughout the week until we meet again. I ask you to take us all to our destination safely. And I ask that you continue to pour into us a deeper understanding of some of the things that we discussed today. I want to thank you for everything that you've done and everything you will continue to do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Just last thing. Water for the Thirsty is just designed to help us overcome the obstacles of spending time with Jesus. And that's all that this is about. We want to be more intentional about it, and these things that we've come up with have been helping. And we invite you to join the pursuit. Till the next time, drink up.
Drink up.
You're like water when I'm thirsty. Like water when I'm thirsty. You're like water when I'm thirsty.
This is Water for the Thirsty.
Water for the Thirsty.
Water for the Thirsty.